Well, we got a new little project we're going to do today. We're in my parents' garage. Their 2015 F150 with the 5.0 in it died. Battery was dead, and then they jumped it, and they were able to get it fired up, and then it started smoking out the wazoo out front. He thought something was on fire, and lo and behold, it was actually just a belt. The alternator, if we can get down in here, the alternator right there, locked up tight. Can't even move it, can't spin it. So today, it's 20 something degrees out. We're gonna be getting down in here and removing and replacing the alternator and putting a new belt on, which runs the water pump and the alternator. So, cold day, but let's have some fun. All right, we got the truck on the ramps so we can get underneath it to get access to the alternator. First thing I need to do is take and disconnect the battery, because we're working with electrical stuff, especially the alternator. You don't want anything to have any issues. Put that to the side, and we're gonna wait a little bit, and we're gonna let it discharge everything, make sure you don't have any power going anywhere. So we'll wait a few minutes here, and then we'll start jumping into the alternator. This is going to be a little hard to videotape. The angles are going to be all off trying to get up here, but we need to take this tensioner off, which is a, what size is that? It's a 13 millimeter or a 1/2 inch, but you're going to take this guy off. So I'm going to do that, try to get it on camera. I don't know how hard this is going to be. That. Ooh, still tight. Okay, let me get that off, but that you get the gist of it. All right, so the tensioner's out, left normal threads, and then I just pulled on it and the whole tensioner came right off. Very easy. You got one bolt down at the bottom here. You can see at the bottom of the alternator that's holding that on. Then you have one right up on top. We do have connections on the back of the alternator. I just cannot for the life of me get to the back of it to unhook them. So what we're going to do is take these two bolts off and move the alternator down, and then we should be able to disconnect the electrical connectors. All right, so we got both the bolts undone. I got the top one out, and you can move the alternator to the right a little bit towards the driver's side. And then, I don't know if we can even get on the camera. Right there, you can see the main power connector. You don't want to take the alternator out yet, because you need that bottom one where the bolt is. You need to have that staying in that position so you can actually break that nut loose off the alternator. That's also a 13 or a 1/2 inch, whichever one you want to use. So I'm gonna get that off, and then right behind that is where the other electrical connector, which we can just unplug. That's where it's at. And then hopefully the alternator will just slide out and we can take it right out through the bottom. We'll try it. That was fun. Getting it out was kind of a pain in the butt going down through the bottom, but not too bad. Man, is it flipping cold outside? It's like 25 degrees. Either way, the hardest part of this job, honestly, was getting this guy off. This connector. I had to actually get down in there, take this all apart, and then, as in get it off, and then slide out of the way, and then get pliers and just pinch on it, and then pry up on it. But honestly, that was the hardest part of this whole thing, so it's actually not that bad of a job. But we need to get the other one, put it in, and get this truck back on the road, and get a new belt on it too, since it fried the old one. Yeah. All right, let's keep moving. All right, so we got the belt, Gates belt. It's green. It's supposed to be a good one. And then we have the alternator. This truck, these F-150s can take two different types, a 200 amp and I think a 240 amp. And this one takes the bigger one. So just make sure everything's good on it. Nothing's broke or missing. It spins freely, much better than the other one. I'm doing the best I can with trying to get the video on this, guys, but this truck, it's tight down in there, and I can't get video. I can't get my camera in there to get anything. So, my fault. Trying the best I can, but we're going to come down, again, up through the bottom, put the alternator in. Game plan is once it's kind of by the steering shaft there, we're going to connect the electrical connector in the back of the alternator, then put the main power cable on it, and then hopefully we can finagle it back up into the mount and then torque the bolts down. So let's see what I can do here. All right, alternator is in. Top one's torqued. Bottom one's torqued. And the tensioner's back in and torqued. So it is hard to see anything, but make sure your wires or anything behind aren't contacting anything, because you do have the exhaust manifold kind of close. Just double check everything. Now we need to put the new belt on and run it around the water pump, crank pulley, and then the alternator. All right. I'll get the torque specs here at the end once we're all done here. Whoo, Bessie, that was a lot of fun. Getting the belt on. It's all ran around the water pump. It's good. Kind of just have to lay down. If you have your feet going towards, like if you lay down on your back, have your feet going towards the back of the truck and mess with it. That's the way to do it. I don't know. This is kind of a funky little job. They designed it a little oddly down there, but let's put the battery back together, fire this truck up, see if make sure everything's charging and everything's working good. He's running. Don't seem to have any issues. Okay, so real quick before we close this video off is the torque specs for those the tensioner bolt and the two bolts that hold the alternator on are 35 foot-pounds. And then the bolt that holds the main power wire going back to the battery, that's like 150 inch-pounds, if I'm not mistaken. Honestly, with those, I don't torque those. I just kind of do it by hand, by feel. Yeah, so looks like everything's good. No, I just went inside, looked at the truck, see if there's any lights or anything weird going on. Doesn't seem like it. Kind of cool seeing that green belt, though. All right, so I know the video wasn't super great with me actually ripping this stuff apart. It's just really hard to get down in there with the camera. But if you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the comment section. I'll get back to you. All right, guys. God bless.